Failure has a way of shaking us to the core, doesn't it? It makes you question yourself, your abilities, even your future. I know that feeling too well. For me, it happened when I sat for my Scrum Master certification exam. I had passed so many certifications before, but this time, I failed. It was the first certification exam I had ever failed, and it broke my confidence. But this is what I discovered. Failure is not the final word. In fact, it can be the very thing that shapes you into someone stronger, wiser, and more confident. Today, I want to share how I rebuilt my confidence after that failure, and how you can too. I remember it so clearly. I had spent days in training, poured hours into preparation, and I sat down to write the exam with a quiet confidence because I had passed every other certification I had attempted. But when the results came back, it was a fail. I was crushed. I questioned myself. Am I really cut out for this? Should I do this again? Did I waste all that time? What if I was not as good as I thought I was? It was the first time I had tasted that kind of professional failure. And honestly, it stung. For months, I could not bring myself to pick up the books again. My confidence was shattered at the time, and I kept replaying that moment in my head. But over time, something shifted. I realized that failure doesn't take away my worth. It doesn't mean I'm not capable. It simply means there's more to learn. So, I made a decision to try again. Slowly, I picked up my notes. I studied with fresh eyes. I built back my belief, one day at a time. And when I finally sat for the exam, I passed. And that certificate meant more to me than any other because it carried a story of resilience. I'd learned something. Psychologically, failure often triggers shame, self-doubt, and fear of judgment. That's why it feels so heavy. But here's something powerful. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. And research shows that the most successful people are often those ones who have failed the most. The difference is they don't stay down. They rebuild. They go back to the grind. When failure happens, our brain goes into protection mode, releasing stress hormones that make it hard to think clearly. But we can retrain our mind to see failure differently. Instead of treating it like the end of the road, we can see it as a stepping stone, a detour that redirects us towards growth. So I'll share with you 3 steps to rebuild confidence after failure. Firstly, we need to acknowledge our feelings, but we don't live in them. I had to admit myself. I was disappointed, even embarrassed. And that's okay, but I couldn't stay there. Failure is an event, not my identity. You may have failed, but you are not a failure. Secondly, reflect and learn. Learn the lesson. I started asking, what can this failure teach me? For me, it was about humility and preparation. I realized that I had to approach the Scrum Master exam with a different mindset, a different approach. And once you find the lesson, you stop seeing failure as a loss and start seeing it as growth. Thirdly, rebuild with small wins. I didn't regain confidence overnight. I built it back with small wins, studying one chapter, practicing mock tests, celebrating little milestones. Every victory, every step reminded me that I can do this. And over time, those small wins added up to a big comeback. And here's this quote. It's not how far you fall, but how high you bounce that counts. This is Zig Ziglar. Failure does not define you. It is a chapter. It's not the whole story. And often, it's the very chapter that prepares you for the victory that comes next. If you failed at something recently, I want you to remember you can rebuild your confidence step by step, lesson by lesson, win by win. So let me ask you, what is one lesson you have learned from a past failure? And what is one small step you can take this week to rebuild your confidence? Share it in the comments. I would really love to hear from you and cheer you on. Reflect on a recent failure. What did it teach you? And what is your next step? And if you're ready to walk through this season with guidance to rebuild your confidence with intentional steps, I'd love to support you. Why don't you book a one-to-one coaching session with me via my website? Let's work on turning your setback into a powerful comeback. You've got this.